Nirvan Sorooshian, talking to Nick Wohlman on the first 48 Minutes podcast. Nick, what's our topic for today?
All right, today we're talking about the depth at the point guard position.
Depth of the point guard position.
And lack thereof at other positions like shooting guard.
So you're saying that the point guard position is
insanely deep. Insanely deep. There's at least 20 players on there that I wouldn't mind being my point guard.
All right, so start us off. Who's your best?
My top five is number 1, Chris Paul, 2, Russell Westbrook, 3, Steph Curry, 4, Tony Parker, Hall of Famer, 5, John Wall.
All right, I'm going to stop you right there. Me and Nick, the disagreement that we always have is between Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry. I think that Steph Curry is the second best point guard in the league behind Chris Paul. And he thinks that Russell Westbrook is, obviously he's injured right now, but when he's healthy, is the second best point guard in the league. Why do you think that?
I just feel Russell Westbrook can take a game over anytime he wants. Obviously, he's not the number 1 scoring option on his team because he has Kevin Durant, who's averaging 29 points a game.
Yeah. He's not going to have the ball in his hands all the time.
He's not the main scoring option for his team, but he can still get he'll still get his 22 a game, or whatever he gets. He's brought his assist average up this year. He's averaging about 7 assists a game.
Basically, you're saying on any given night he's going to produce.
Yeah, he's consistent. And plus, there's those games that he can just take over.
Do you like the risk factor like that he puts his body through? That he's been like.
He's been injured a lot. That's a problem. But so is Steph Curry. He has those ankle issues.
But they've been looking good all season though.
They have. But you don't know how they can keep up.
I was at a Kings Warriors game a couple weeks ago, and the game came down to the last few minutes, and when the ball was not in Steph Curry's hand, this team was lost. Like, they had no idea. They would get the ball to Klay Thompson, and he would get trapped, didn't know what to do, gave it to Steph Curry, and Steph Curry single-handedly gave them the win. Yeah, so that's my guy, Steph Curry.
That's a difference, because Steph Curry is probably top 5 clutch player in the NBA. It's got to be him. Yeah, right now. Definitely. Him, LeBron, Kevin Durant, D Rose, when he's healthy, can always take a game over. And then Kobe Bryant. Obviously, because Kobe's a monster.
Did you see Kemba Walker's game winner?
No.
So let's go back to that. The point guard position, there's about 20 point guards, 25 even, that are just insanely good. And at any other position, they would be top 5 players. Like your Jeff Teagues, your Ricky Rubios, who has digressed a little bit this season. He's not quite as good as his other numbers, but compared to the shooting guard position, especially, in my opinion, the point guard just trumps all.
Like, listen to these names for point guard. Chris Paul, Steph Curry, John Wall, Brandon Jennings, Ricky Rubio, Ty Lawson, Drew Holiday, Kyle Lowry, Russell Westbrook, Mike Conley, Tony Parker, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard. The list goes on and on. All those players are really good players, and if you compare that to, like, the shooting guard position, my shooting guard position right here for my top 5, James Harden, Kobe Bryant, and then it just drops. Dwayne Wade.
Directly to Dwayne Wade.
Are
Dwayne Wade's knees a problem for you?
Yeah, because he's
flashes.
He flashes, as Jalen Rose likes to call him. But no, Dwayne Wade has the potential to be. Well, he's obviously going to be an all-star because of the fan favorite. Like, he's going to get his votes. But Dwayne Wade hasn't been as good as he's always just not going to be. He's going to be outshined by LeBron all the time. I just don't see him being that great. Klay Thompson is my 4. He's a reliable shooter, but he needs to make his game more all around.
Another position where the top like 4 or 5 players are just really stacked as a small forward, but then after that it just seems to drop off a lot. You have 3 of arguably the best players in the league, and LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Paul George, and then you have Carmelo Anthony, who is just one of the truest scorers in the NBA. So that position is definitely stacked, but no position goes as deep as the point guard. As far as when you get down to those 20, 25, even 30 players, they're still really good players for their teams.
Exactly. Like Jeff Teague, player that he's really underrated. He's a really good player.
Brandon Jennings, in his last few seasons, has not been known to be a passer, but this year with Andre Drummond, he's averaging
8 assists a game.
An insane amount of assists a game.
Well, the Detroit Pistons have so much talent on their team.
Andre Drummond,
who I love.
Is he a top 5 center for you?
I feel like Andre Drummond's a top 5 center because of the injuries. They have Andre Drummond, Greg Monroe, who's got really good potential, tons of skill. Josh Smith, who all-star player.
Andre Drummond is so young, but he plays so much more mature than his age.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
I know you're really big on Roy Hibbert too.
I love Roy Hibbert on defense. Like, my top 5 centers here: Dwight Howard, just because it's Dwight Howard, defensive monster, can get his 20 a game. Then I have DeMarcus Cousins
at the 2 spot.
I feel like he is the best offensive center in the
Let's
NBA.
talk about those two, Dwight Howard and DeMarcus Cousins, because a few nights ago there was a Kings-Rockets game that I was watching where those two were just going at each other, and it seemed like DeMarcus Cousins got the better of Dwight Howard, even though Dwight clearly is the more strong and even athletic player.
Well, I don't think I would say strong. Like, obviously, Dwight's more athletic.
Dwight Howard is like the strongest.
But
player
DeMarcus Cousins can bully anyone he wants. His raw offensive ability is undeniable. He's really good.
He's an intense player.
He's very intense. The only thing DeMarcus needs to like do better at is he needs to play better defense. Not play better defense, give more effort on defense, and he needs to keep himself in cool. Like, I don't know if you were watching the I was at the Kings Heat game in Sacramento, and
didn't catch that one.
LeBron hard fouled DeMarcus Cousins when he was going to the paint, and DeMarcus thought he was like, you know how usually DeMarcus Cousins throws tantrums and tries to pick a fight. DeMarcus Cousins walked from one side of the paint all the way to like the other side of the court, the bench, and started talking to the coach to try to cool himself down. And I really like that because
he's definitely shown some improvement as a maturity standpoint.
He just needs to be a better leader on his team.
Do you think that Shaq-town, the Shaquille O'Neal ownership has helped in any way? Because Shaq before the season promised he would mentor him, and it looks like he's been doing that.
Yeah, it will. Boogie's made a lot of improvements this year,
Absolutely.
like all around game. Okay, continuing on with the centers. Third, I have Tim Duncan because
we have to talk about that one.
Minute for minute.
This is what I told him. Minute for minute. If Tim Duncan played as many minutes as these young centers like Andre Drummond, Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins, all those guys who are getting 35-plus minutes a game, if Tim Duncan was getting that minute for minute, he would be the best center in the NBA.
Easily. He's a Hall of Famer. He just that post mid-range bank shot, you can't stop it. He's just undeniably Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
Forward position, I have Roy Hibbert just because he's an elite defender. What is he averaging for blocks? It's like
an insane amount.
2.73 blocks a game.
He fits so well with the Pacer mindset with David West.
Exactly.
And Lance Stevenson. We have to talk about
Lance Stevenson.
Where do you have him at your shooting guard position?
For shooting guard, I have Lance Stevenson at 5 just because he can do it all. He has 2 triple-doubles this year?
He's definitely come out of the shell in this past year or so.
Yeah, because he plays within himself too. Again,
yeah,
he
plays very mature.
He knows Paul George is the star. He knows he's not the best scorer on the team, but he just does his job. I love it about Lance Stevenson, and that's why.
But still, James Harden is
undeniably the best shooting guard. Probably the worst trade for the Oklahoma City Thunder they could have made.
That is the worst NBA trade that I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, well,
I mean, when a guy has
more. What did they give him up for?
When
Jeremy Lamb and a first-round pick?
He had more free throw attempts in the playoffs in the fourth quarter than anyone else. That means he's driving to the paint. He's drawing those fouls, and then he makes them.
And then
that was huge for OKC, and then they just give that away for, who was it, Jeremy Lamb?
Jeremy Lamb and a first-round pick.
Jeremy Lamb is doing okay. Like, he hits his three-pointers when they're open.
But like, it's James Harden. He's the best shooting guard in the league. Top 10 player.
Especially now with Russell Westbrook, you could really use a guy like James Harden to take over some of the passing, too.
And he's a knockdown shooter, too.
I'm glad to have him on my fantasy team. For sure.
Yeah, he can shoot the ball, like, lights out.
All right. Power forward.
Continuing on. Yeah, power forward. I feel like the power forward is... Some people don't believe in the depth at power forward like you. You don't think that...
I think that power forward is arguably the least deep position in the NBA.
I love the power forward position just because of the potential there.
You love Kevin Love.
Kevin Love, hometown boy. Love Kevin Love. Great rebounder, great three-point shooter, good leader on the team. LaMarcus Aldridge, who's really come out of his shell this year.
Absolutely.
Great mid-range shooter. Blake Griffin, I have at my 3 because that spark plug. He's just a bunch of energy, plays good defense, really elevated his game. I have Anthony Davis.
I have Anthony Davis above Blake Griffin in my list.
That's. I feel like Anthony Davis at the end of their careers will have a better career than Blake Griffin, but right now I feel Anthony Davis is just too young and he's just not raw. And I feel like Blake Griffin's elevated his shooting, so he's just a lot better player now.
Blake Griffin, if you've been watching him, you can tell he's been working on his post game. It's still not all the way there. Sure. But it's a huge improvement from the last few seasons. At
the start of the season, when he was like, there is no more Lob City, everyone was like, what is he trying to mean? He's trying, there is Lob City, obviously.
He doesn't want his legacy to be known as
just
Blake
the dunker.
Griffin is a guy who just could jump high.
Just alley-oop. Yeah.
I feel like
he's really worked on his mid-range
game. Do you think that's what all DeAndre Jordan is going to be remembered for?
I feel, DeAndre Jordan, he had that big dunk on Brandon Knight.
Obviously, it's not, a bad thing. That guy was amazing at dunking. It's cool. But, as far as your position in history, you want to be known as the Tim Duncan guy who could just do it all.
Yeah, exactly. Because, and
at this point in his career, Blake Griffin doesn't have that, but you can tell that he's trying to get that.
Yeah, of course. He's just trying to be a better player. Continue on. David Lee, who just won Western Conference Player of the Week. Really good week this week. Yeah, love David Lee on the Warriors.
So you have Kevin Love and LaMarcus Aldridge at your. Why do you like those guys so much? Is it because they spread the floor with their team?
Yeah, they can just.
LaMarcus Aldridge can't hit threes at all, pretty much.
But when you have a four that can face up,
yeah.
And then you have Robin Lopez, that's a really good tandem because you have the score and then you have the defense.
I love watching LaMarcus Aldridge just face up another power forward who's all in his face and just
pull up in his face. Yeah,
you don't see power forwards with that ability. Maybe Kevin Love,
Dirk, that's what you got to compare him to. It's an unblockable mid-range.
And you don't have Dirk Nowitzki in your top 5. Why is that?
I don't have Dirk in my top 5 because the Mavericks. What are they? The 8 seed in the West right now.
8 seed.
Dirk's not like leading his team like he did in like the 2008, 2009 finals when he beat the
There
Heat.
was a time when he was arguably the best player in this league.
Yeah.
He's not quite there, but you can tell that with the addition of Monte Ellis, this Mavericks team is legit. But in such a deep Western Conference,
I don't think they can make it out of the first round.
They can't make it out of the first round or any more than that. Do you think a lot of people say that the 8 through 10 seed is the worst place in the NBA? I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I believe that's the worst place in the NBA, especially in the Western Conference, because if you're the 9th seed, you don't make the playoffs.
But if Dallas was in the Eastern Conference, then it's like a whole nother story.
They're like the 3 seed, aren't they?
They're the 3 seed. They're hosting a team for the first round of the play. Like, that's insane, the difference between those two conferences.
So let's talk about that. Do you think that that they should make just the 16 best team playoff, or should they realign the teams in the conferences?
You can't realign them because
it's based. Well, what you could do is like what the NFL does is they do the NFC AFC where it's just different. Like there's no regional thing to it. So what you could do is
a team that was just in the 8th seed just like 2 weeks ago is Golden State. They're on a 9-game win streak right now.
9 game, yeah.
That's
They were just at 500 too.
They're playing so well together. Andre Iguodala,
I love Andre
are huge on. Is one of the best defensive players.
Probably, yeah, perimeter defender. Him, Tony Allen, Thabo Sefolosha.
There's only a handful of them, and Iguodala is definitely one of them. But it's the presence that it seems like he brings to his team, to these young guys who are taking over as leaders. Like Steph Curry is one of the leaders of the team, but he's still young and can definitely learn a lot. And Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, like Mark Jackson said,
Splash Brothers.
Like
best shooting tandem
all
time
in the all-time.
Maybe top 5 all-time.
Top 5 all-time, absolutely.
No, but what Andre Iguodala brings to his team is they don't have to put Steph Curry or Klay Thompson on the elite like point guard.
And what that does for Steph is, one, it gives a break on his ankles.
Exactly.
Because we know that he doesn't have the best ankles.
He's not an elite perimeter defender like Iggy.
Mark Jackson always has one eye on Steph Curry's ankles, and it frees him up for his offensive game. But Steph is still one of the leaders in the NBA for steals.
Yeah.
Which he turns into transition. I saw that same Kings game that I was watching. Steph Curry took the ball from, I think it was Isaiah Thomas, just rips it from him, goes on transition, and just stops and pops from 3. Like, he doesn't drive in, and he just like knows he's going to make it. And he knocked it down, obviously, because he's Steph Curry. And then one guy who I'm huge on, like just in the past couple of weeks, has proven like himself hugely, is Andrew Bogut.
Andrew Bogut, yes.
In my opinion, he's one of the best rebounders in this league.
But do you feel like he was worth that contract? Do you feel like he's worth that contract to that team?
It seems like he fits in well there.
He does fit in well.
I don't really see. I'm looking right now, and I don't really see another team where he would fit in as well as he does with the Golden State Warriors. Because those second chance points that he gives them are enormous, because they take advantage of nearly every one of those.
Yep.
He gives them a lot of wins. Like it doesn't show up in the box score as much as a player like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, who just like are crazy on the points, but his rebounding is huge.
Well, look at this. He's averaging 10.2 rebounds a game, and with the field goal percentage at 62%, like that's like what he just doesn't miss. Like, he takes good shots, and he like fits in well with the team.
Because Steph Curry is a player who can get him those shots.
Exactly, because Steph Curry, Klay Thompson around the arc, spread it out. Andre Iguodala is shooting 46% from beyond the arc. He's an elite 3-point shooter, just percentage-wise.
Can't shoot free throws though.
Can't shoot free throws.
Was he 57% from
I have
the line?
no clue. But that.
What do you?
That Christmas Day game.
With the whole thing about big men not being able to shoot free throws, and it seems like people are becoming okay with that. What do you think about that? Because me personally, I feel like if you can't shoot 70% from the line, then you don't deserve as big of a contract as a player like Dwight Howard is getting, $88 million over 4 years.
Yeah, but he still can't shoot from the line. But like that's the problem. Like again,
if you're a player, you should get in the gym and you should be able to shoot
at least 60%.
At least 60% from the field.
Because that's points.
You can't do that.
That's points that you're leaving on the table.
That's why I'm saying that James Harden was so important for the Thunder.
Exactly.
He was in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. I think he was shooting over 90% from the field.
Yeah.
From the free throw line, not from the field. Sorry. That's huge for the Thunder.
Yeah, but no, for the going back to like the big men and the free throw percentage, like that's another player we're huge on, Andre Drummond. Like what, 13 points, 12.5 rebounds a game. He's great spark plug. He's got a high motor.
And then you get to the free throw.
And then you foul him, he's shooting 36.
And it's becoming more common for NBA teams to just, all right, we can't stop him offensively, let's foul the big man.
Hack a Shaq or like do that to Dwight.
Especially with a player like Brandon Jennings who can create for Drummond. If Drummond gets the ball, then the other team can just be looking.
They just foul him. Yeah, because he's making a third of his free throws, a little more than a third.
That's insane.
That's
an NBA player should be able to do more than that.
If he gets 10 free throw attempts at a game, that he's missing 6 points.
I was looking at a stat a week ago, and it said that Dwight Howard in this season has missed as many free throws as the San Antonio Spurs entire team.
Well, yeah, that's
one player. Obviously, San Antonio is San Antonio.
Shooting 55%.
San Antonio, let's talk about that. I feel like any player out of college, they can draft freely because, like...
Greg Pop.
Like, any player, they can make him fit.
They make them
They make them a better player.
They make them work. Exactly.
So who do you think...
Like, okay, this is why I love the Spurs. They're probably the best team, not athleticism-wise, but they just play the best game of basketball.
They play the most pure, perfect basketball ever.
They play perfect basketball.
That's the thing about the Golden State Warriors that has me worried. There's a lot of times where they just look sloppy, and then they're
a jump shooting team.
They're a jump shooting team, and I don't know. Like Charles Barkley said,
live by the three, die by the three.
You don't know how far you could. That's why I'm not too huge on the Portland Trailblazers yet.
Because they're a jump shooting team.
They're a jump shooting team. I don't know how long that can. Oklahoma City is not a jump shooting team. Obviously, you have Kevin Durant, but he can jump shoot.
Yeah, he can drive.
There's only a handful of players who I trust to put most of the work on, and their jump shooting is their main game, that I would let them ride me to the playoffs. Yeah. There's Steph Curry, Kevin Durant,
LeBron,
Melo, obviously, but that's a joke. Knicks are terrible at this point. They should just tank and get a draft pick. But what do you think about Melo? Do you think that he's gonna? A lot of people are talking about him going to the Lakers.
Melo on the Lakers he likes New York.
Can you handle both Kobe and Melo on the Lakers?
I don't know.
And now you have Swaggy P.
I love Swaggy P.
I
love Nick Young.
Nick is huge on Nick Young, but I'm not whatsoever. I don't like him.
I love Nick Young. He's averaging 17 points a game almost, and that's I just love it because, early in his career when he was at the Washington Wizards, he and JaVale McGee were doing the Shaq and a fool with the stupid plays, he does, or the one that when he was on the Lakers, he tries to make the 360 layup and stuff like that. But I really like Nick Young because he's a good scorer, and I don't know, I really love Swaggy P. Just the presence he brings to the team.
I like how confident he is in his jump shooting
ability,
but
he's so confident.
I don't like that he goes 0 for 9, a stretch of missing 9 jump shots, and then takes another one. I think that once you're there, you have to take the rest of the game. This is why I love Lance Stevenson so much. If something's not there for him, he's not going to try to force it. He plays within himself, which Nick Young does not do whatsoever. That's why I'm not too huge on him, because that's such a big thing for me.
But Melo on the Lakers, I don't think that really works.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think he likes New York too much.
He needs a ring.
He does.
If Melo retires, finishes his NBA career without a ring, he's going to... His legacy won't show how great he was.
He'll just be a good scorer. That's it.
They'll be like, oh, Melo was a good scorer.
Even though this year he's been playing really well at the power forward position, when they put him in the 4, because that's
stretch the floor out.
It stretches the floor.
Although, who does he have around him? He's got no one. He's Tyson Chandler.
Okay, well, look at his point guard. Raymond Felton, no. Okay, and plus they're really injured. Pablo Pregoni, they don't have an elite. They need an elite point guard that can distribute.
If the Knicks finish with a top 5, this is interesting. I was talking about this with someone the other day. If the Knicks finish with a top 5 pick in this draft, which they probably will, because at this point you just want to lose as many games as possible and pick up, as high a draft pick as you can.
Yeah, they're sitting at the 6th worst record in the league right now. Yeah,
something like that. So if they enter with a top 5 pick, who do you draft? Because you have Carmelo Anthony and you have nobody at your point guard position. Do you draft a Dante Exum?
I think you have to go with a Dante Exum. because Dante Exum, elite size, 6'6". He can score. He'll get his points.
Who else do you like in this draft?
In this draft is the deepest draft since 2003. You have Andrew Wiggins, obviously.
Obviously, he's the talk of the town.
Everyone.
Jabari Parker has shown himself to be.
I like Jabari more than Andrew
better
Wiggins.
than Andrew Wiggins.
Exactly.
A lot of people are saying that these days. So if you're one of these terrible teams, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about. Do you have the right to draft based on position? If you're a Sacramento Kings team, for example, who will probably end up with a top 5 pick because they're one of the worst teams in the NBA, do you draft based on position? Do you say, okay, we need a power forward because Jason Thompson just isn't doing it enough, which he isn't? Do we go draft Julius Randle if they have the first pick? Or do you say,
I feel like
we just need an asset that we can trade, get some more assets for, or turn into a franchise player, and do you just pick a Jabari or an Andrew Wiggins?
Well, that's an interesting case for Sacramento because they have their player of the future. They have DeMarcus Cousins, who they're building their team around. So obviously, you're not going to go and draft a Joel Embiid, a center, like Milwaukee or a Utah team. I feel like you don't pick positions there because they don't have a star to build around.
Trey Burke. I feel like Trey Burke. Do you think that Trey Burke is going to stay in Utah for any lengthy amount of time?
I don't think he would want to.
Because I like his game.
I love his game. I don't think he wants to though.
I don't think any player really wants to stay in Utah for their whole. Maybe this is something that I wrote about a few weeks ago. Is Jimmer Fredette possibly on the Sacramento Kings? He played in Utah. That's where he went to college. BYU.
Mormon.
He knows that town, and of course, but Utah, like, they won't get the production out of Jimmer Fredette because he's just not that athletic or talented of a player.
He wasn't worth that pick.
He wasn't worth that pick. But when they get him, that's a sellout crowd every night.
Yeah. Jimmer Fredette at BYU.
What does that give you? That gives you the cash to go out and get some more.
Exactly, because Jimmer Fredette, he's still on his rookie contract. He's going to have to sign for less because he hasn't produced like he should have coming out of college.
But at the same time, if I'm Utah, I don't want to trade away a Trey Burke.
I don't think
you trade Trey Burke. Franchise.
I feel like Trey Burke can be a franchise player, but for Utah,
you have to get Trey Burke to go all in on this team.
Exactly.
You have to say you have to be in this, or else we're going to trade you either to Sacramento or for some other point guard.
Well, Utah, they're third worst team in the league right now. They're gonna get a top 5 pick, and that they're gonna get a Wiggins or a Parker, maybe a Randall, a Joel Embiid would be good for them. They just need a franchise player to play with Trey Burke. They need 2 people. That's what you need at least.
It's a different story for this draft because there's 10 potential franchise players in this draft. All the way from Smart, Jabari, Wiggins, Dante Exum, Randall,
Joel
all these
Embiid,
players.
Marcus,
Like last draft, you had like a couple players which could be potentially franchise players. You had Victor Oladipo, and Ben McLemore.
Maybe Nerlens Noel if he didn't get injured. But Anthony Bennett, the number 1 pick,
that's a joke.
That's a bust already.
Well, that was kind of a surprise. No one expected him.
No one expected him to go that early.
But I feel like in that draft, most of these teams were just looking for an asset which they could kind of.
They just
let him become a formidable player,
not the person you're gonna
and then
build
put
your
him
team
into
around.
the market, and then get some other picks for him for a future draft that's better, or get another piece.
Well, right now the leading candidate for Player of the Year or Rookie Player of the Year, Michael Carter Williams. He was the 11th pick.
Remember how worried people were about his game? He turns the ball over too much. He can't jump shoot.
Exactly.
And now he's just doing everything. Really.
Averaging 17 points, 7 rebounds, almost 6 assists,
this
6 rebounds.
76ers team with some
young talent.
I think they're
Michael Carter Williams,
the next 5 to 10 years,
especially in the Eastern Conference. Michael Carter Williams going to be a great point guard.
What are they? They're on a 4-game
win streak
right now.
Yeah, they have Evan Turner, Thaddeus Young, who used to play small forward, coming off the bench.
I'm huge on Evan Turner. Don't like his jump shot, but his transition game, his athleticism,
especially when he was at Ohio State.
Another player that I'm huge on purely because of their athleticism, Derek Williams.
Yes, I love Derek Williams. That's another, like Jalen Rose says all the time, drafted by the wrong team.
But he fits so well. And when he got to Sacramento, he fits so well with rookie Ben McLemore. Mm-hmm. If you watch them run that break, it was just great. It could not be stopped. But then now, with the addition of Rudy Gay, Derek Williams is not in the
he's
starting
getting
lineup
pushed
anymore.
back.
I don't like that. I think that you can take Jason Thompson out of the lineup and put Rudy Gay at your 4 like New York did with Melo.
Or like you don't have to play a pure 4. They can play they can play 2 3s essentially. Because like when Derek Williams got drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, they had Nikola Pekovic center, Kevin Love power forward, but Derek Williams isn't a pure small forward.
At this point, if you're the Kings, you're trying to do 3 things this season. One, you're trying to take Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins, and Isaiah Thomas and let them buy into the system that we're going to be bad for a while so that we can be good for a while.
Yeah.
They have to be happy because Isaiah, Rudy, and DeMarcus are obviously your 3 best players, hands down.
Yeah.
After that, what you have to do is I want a one piece that Sacramento can take into a market for other teams to look at him as a valuable asset to get some picks out of him or to get another solid player. And I think that Derek Williams will be that player that they can evolve into something better. But I think that they can't do that unless he's in the starting lineup. And at this point, if you're Sacramento, you're not too worried about wins. Like, it's tough to say as a Kings fan, but you're really not because you want to have a high draft. So you take Jason Thompson out, you sacrifice some rebounding, you put Derek Williams in, you make him a 15-point, 10-rebound guy.
15 and 8 maybe.
15 and 8 maybe.
I don't think he can get 10 rebounds a game.
But his assist numbers will go up on the break with Ben McLemore. Because they threw lobs to each other the first few games. But once you do that, then you put him into the market, and then you get some picks for him in future years, and then now you're building.
Well, if teams see that Derek Williams is playing really well, like he was playing really well. He came like that first game that we watched. He played really well.
Insanely athletic.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the Kings can.
And I don't mind Derek Williams being a guy like Blake Griffin, who all he does is he can jump shoot. He can shoot.
Yeah, he can shoot a 3. Wow, like I was really surprised.
He shoots a 3 better than Ben McLemore.
They're both shooting about 33% from the yard,
and that's insane.
Especially because he's a power forward, small forward.
I just don't see why not put those two together as the 2 and 3 and just let them run.
Well, hear me out. All right, Derek Williams, coming out of Arizona, huge potential. Everyone was big on Derek Williams. Number 2 pick overall. You have to be a pretty good player to go number 2. He has the talent.
Regardless of what year it is.
Exactly. Like Anthony Bennett, like he played really well in college. He has the skill. He just didn't really pan out in the NBA so far, averaging like 2 points a game, which is not what you need.
Not quite.
But Derek Williams still has skill. If teams see that he has that skill, they could use him as a bench player or like a tweener 3-4, depending on what like position you want. Like I feel like they could get some pretty good trade assets. Like he could be a really good trade asset.
Definitely could. All right, well, we done here, Nick?
I feel like we are.
That's the first episode of 48 Minutes. Nirvan Sorooshian, Nick Wohlman. Thanks for joining us.